I did not die. I got my sight back. All the car crashes, I didn't die. All the ODs, I didn't die. And here I am, homeless with seemingly nothing in this shower. And I'm thanking God. And that was so important to me. It was so important to me to start to acknowledge that everything that was coming in my life then, even when it was not so pleasant, and now was a direct result of something greater than me.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Journey to Solutions podcast, where we interview people from all walks of life who've overcome the impossible. We shine light on one simple truth: no matter your past, no matter your pain, with the power of God, anything is possible. Today, we have a very special guest. She's a spiritual leader. She owns a mental health company.
Oh, no, I'm a director of admissions.
Director of admissions for a mental health company. What's it called?
Breathe Life Healing Center.
Breathe Life Healing Center. So make sure you check that out. She owns a clothing company.
Correct.
And you have 10 and a half years of recovery.
Yes.
It's amazing. So I just want to introduce Cristina Meadows.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you know, there's something about you that I love. You're so like loving, caring, people-centered. Have you always been like that?
In sobriety, yes. Once I found a place within myself where I could start to love myself, it became very natural to want to lean in and love other people. It wasn't right away because I was quite disgusted with myself when I got sober, and the idea of being around people was just too much. I didn't know what I had to offer. Quite frankly, I was homeless and I didn't smell too nice, really, in the beginning. Yeah, and then I honestly feel as if it was the community that I was able to surround myself with. And over time, once I got really clear on what love was, I just gravitated towards that and became more of that in my friendships and my relationships.
No, I love that, you know, and, you said something about, being homeless, you weren't happy with yourself. Like, kind of run us back there. Like, how did your addiction start, and how bad did it get?
Oof,
and I know there's a lot to your story. You talked about how when you were a kid, you talked about your sight thing and losing sight. I mean, a food disorder, like so much. So like, run us through it.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, my addiction started as a very young child. I mean, it was food before it was anything else. I was a compulsive overeater. I had to have food. I had to have sugar.
At what age was that when you look back, that started?
Probably 7, 8.
Okay. So
probably around then. I was always craving something outside of myself. I remember my mom actually telling me I ate as if somebody was going to take it away from me from a very young age.
Do you know why you're like that?
I don't. I can say that I was always very restless. I was always very anxious. I had a lot of problems as a child with an alcoholic mother that I was always seeking something outside of myself, food as I've identified, but I was in a lot of turmoil. I was in a lot of pain as a young child, and watching my mom go through her own addictions. And again, food being the first one. And then it just kind of grew over time. When it wasn't one thing, it was the other thing. And being a young girl, I actually was addicted. I was cutting as a 6-year-old girl, as a 6-year-old.
And kind of run me through that for people that maybe don't understand that. People are like, well, why would someone do that? Like for you, what was self-harming doing for you, right? Because there has to be something it's doing for us that we do it. So kind of run us through that.
Well, I'll tell you, I remember the exact moment when I did it. I was 6 years old. My mom and I got into an argument. We were always arguing. I always wanted something from her that she could not give me. And I remember this argument, and she got out of the car and left me. I was 6 years old, and I remember being in a panic. My feelings always felt too big for my body. My thoughts felt too loud for my head. And I just remember scrambling, and I remember just scrambling for something. And as a little girl, I didn't have anyone. I didn't have any tools. I didn't have anything.
Right.
And I just remember looking in the glove compartment box in my mom's car, and I saw a screwdriver, and I just remember, that's actually why I have an angel tattooed right here. And I just remember digging in my skin as hard as I could just to make what felt like heartbreak stop. And the physical presence of the physical pain on my body, I was able to detach from what was like feeling like a broken heart. And once I did that, and I don't know why that was an automatic thought response, I just knew I needed escape. I was in utter panic from need, want, desire, and wanting to be heard. Really just feeling voiceless in that moment. And then my mom physically leaving
Yeah.
again. Um, and mind you, my sister and I had been taken away from her, given back to her. And now any observation of the pattern of her leaving, I think just triggered even more of an intensified emotion.
Mm.
And yeah, again, I don't know exactly why my brain said, oh, you need to
Mm-hmm.
cut your arm. And I did. And that became a solution for me for a very long time probably until I got really into the grips of my addiction, and then the addiction of drugs, alcohol, and other forms of chaos became the thing that I
The new
was
thing.
now
Yeah.
putting in my life and now living in a way to escape what I was feeling inside.
Yeah, and that's I know that, right? For people that don't know that, right? Self harm again, it does something. It's an escape from our pain or reality, whatever it is. That's why it's kind of like, well, if you have a headache and it's hurting, like have someone punch you in the arm hard. You're like, oh, it's like you're thinking about your head. Well, no, it's kind of like that,
Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
you, and imagine, right, like you said, like a 6-year-old, 7-year-old girl. If you're going to with the alcoholic mother, you already know that's chaos. We see it. We know how we are when we're in our addiction. So when you have a kid, the kid's going to be the one that hurts. And when you're a kid, you don't really know what's happening. So you might personalize it.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're a kid. You need your parents. You need adults to survive. And when those who are supposed to protect you are hurting you, like you said, it's a scary place to be. So food is your first one you're noticing. Then self-harm becomes the next one. When does drugs and alcohol now come into your life? At what age?
So I want to say probably about 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
There was marijuana, right? Not a lot of intensity with that in the beginning. The thing that stood out to me, even when I reflect on this, is I didn't even like marijuana.
Yeah, I hate marijuana.
I didn't like weed. I didn't like it.
Does it make you like paranoid?
It made me
weird?
weird.
Yeah, me too. I smoke them all. Oh my god.
Yeah, the amount of weird that came from that. I mean, yet I still did it again and again. And I think it was more so the crowd that it was positioning me with and feeling a sense of belonging, or if they're doing it, I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I was with the misfits and the cigarette smokers on the bleachers in the back in middle school, and going to the alley behind the school to smoke a cigarette, that everyone's sharing one cigarette or, the joint. And so it was weed. It was weed, and then it became everything else. It became alcohol, and alcohol became accessible rather quickly for various reasons.
Was that one that you actually liked?
I loved alcohol.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was messy from the jump with that. I remember thinking it was cute to fall over and pretend as if I was drunk so somebody would help me, right? Save me. I'm intoxicated.
Yeah.
And it manifested, and then I was hanging out with older men, not putting myself in very savory situations, and then I was introduced to cocaine and then meth at 13 and 14 years old.
So really early. So okay, so you go from weed, right, just to fit in, like you said, you did it to fit in, you didn't like it. Then you go to alcohol, but that's one that you actually like, right? So now you're enjoying alcohol. What do you feel like it's doing for you? I know, like for me, it makes me social. It makes me feel like I'm confident. I feel like I can like have fun. Like all my anxiety is gone, and that's why like I loved it.
It turned this off.
Yeah.
I turned this off. And obviously being sober and looking back, I realized again, I was in so much pain. I was in pain from as such a young girl, and I was never present in any situation. In fact, my friends would joke with me and call me Miss Left Field, because I would often be saying the thing that had nothing to do with the situation because I was never present with what was going on. And I remember when alcohol came into play, I would feel lighter and less in my head and more social.
Yeah.
And I wasn't worried about my smile because I had really crooked teeth. My identity was in question my whole life because I didn't know if I was Mexican. I didn't know if I was Italian. I didn't know if I was white. I didn't know my dad, right? So all of a sudden it didn't matter if I was anything. I was just me, and I was feeling free. But just as I ate the cookie as if someone was going to take it away, I drank that way. And so it became about not just the drink, it became about the bottle. And then it became about the next bottle. And I wanted as much as I possibly could get, and I was a drunk. I was a drunk very quickly.
Blackout drunk? Throw up drunk? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I was 14 years old, and I remember I was at a hotel with some friends, and I was drinking vodka, and all I remember is showing up at my doorstep with my mom, because of course I'm 14, I live with my
Mhm.
mom, and I knock on the door, she opens the door, and I just vomit everywhere. That was all I really remembered from that experience, except the next day, my chest area was really sore from all the vomiting, and
Yeah.
that was at 14. And that was probably something I sought out, was the oblivion.
Mhm.
Similarly to how when I cut, it relieved the broken heart, even though I'm displaying behaviors and chaos
Mhm.
from the alcohol. I'm still less feeling that broken heart, because now I'm putting alcohol and ingesting alcohol,
Yeah.
and now not keeping food down, and I'm obsessing on what type of situation I can put myself in to get more alcohol, because I'm only 14,
Yeah. So we got to
right?
figure it out somehow.
Right.
Oh,
Who's who, what's what, where's
yeah.
where, right?
Yeah. Totally relatable for me too. I know for me, I started drinking at 14, 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, whoa, I want to do this every day. Like, that was so fun. That's
Mm-hmm.
really what it was. I finally felt free, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, right. I remember the second time, took, I think, too many shots to look cool. Hey, you can drink. Oh, yeah. And then blacking out, throwing up, I'm home, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. So now you're drinking alcohol. It's excessive. You're still 14. How does cocaine come into play?
Well, one of the girls I was hanging out with, she had a lot of cousins,
Mm,
and her cousins were associated with gangs and gang members
yeah.
and whatnot. And so it just became there.
Yeah.
And a certain set of cousins had cocaine, a certain set of cousins had meth, and eventually they just crossed over. And it was pretty much the one day we didn't have cocaine, all of a sudden we had meth, and then
Mhm.
there it was. And I remember even at one point after doing meth very quickly, I think I was 15,
Did you smoke it first or sniff it?
sniff it,
Okay.
just sniffing it
Mm.
for a while,
Mhm.
a while. I don't remember doing much else with it until probably 18 or
Mhm.
19. I say that like as if it's a long
Right.
gap. And I remember when we didn't have meth, it was no dose, and or caffeine pills, or trying something to just get up
Yeah.
and amped up. And it just hit hard, and it hit fast, and I loved it. And I
Mhm.
loved the environment that I was in. I loved the way a cigarette
Yeah.
was. I loved how the cold of a beer was colder
Yeah.
and better down my throat when I was
Mhm.
high.
Yeah.
I had arrived.
So for you, when you went to cocaine and meth, once you tried meth, was like, I want meth more than cocaine at that point?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when I was younger, obviously lower tolerance, not
Yeah.
really knowing what's what, or really understanding, oh, you're going to be up all night,
Yeah.
or what a come down
Oh
is.
gosh. Yeah.
I don't know what really
Yeah.
any of this is. And
Yeah.
eventually I did gravitate more towards meth because it lasted longer.
Yeah.
Cocaine
Yeah. You
was
know how
too
it is.
quick
Rich
for
man's
me.
drug, they called it.
Right.
And it's so interesting as you're saying that, because it's bringing me back to meth, where you're right. It's like, dude, like drinking a beer is like, whoa, you know what I mean? Just like, oh, my cigarette, right? And it's crazy, but that's how it is, right? Like, all these things are just like amazing, and it's
Mhm.
so intoxicating. So now you're sniffing cocaine, or you're sniffing meth and
Mhm.
cocaine. You're loving it.
Mhm.
How does your life start to look like? Because when you do meth, as I tell people, smoking, you're doing meth and doing weed completely different. Drinking alcohol, completely, it's a whole different thing.
Right.
Like, what started happening to your life? So you're sniffing it, and then you see you start smoking it. Kind
Right.
of run me through that. How does your life
Well,
look?
well, let me offer another part of the story that I think is important
Yeah.
here. And I when I was talking to my fiance, I was thinking, wow, oh, that happened too. Is at 13, I got sent away to live in Mississippi. And then
Why'd you
I
get sent away?
I ran away from home.
Okay.
And when the social worker got involved, they basically told my mom, is there any other place she could go? She said, yes, my sister in Alabama is where it started.
And where were you living before that?
In California, in Venice.
Okay, so this is all Venice happening. So now you're going to Mississippi.
Right.
Okay, very similar.
Not at all.
Right.
Middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
country folk.
Exactly.
Northport, Alabama is where that was. And then inevitably I met my aunt, and then my grandmother, and my other cousin, my other aunts. And so I'm meeting this whole side of the family that I don't really know up until then.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm integrating. I'm brown skin, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have, piercings.
Yeah.
And they look at me as if, oh, okay, Miss California. And I met my older cousin. She was 3 years older than me. And the reason I bring that in is because now, right, I'm feeling abandoned. I don't
Mm-hmm.
belong. I don't matter. Nobody loves me. I don't care because I'm mad at my mom.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to emancipate myself and find freedom in this life. As a young girl, I'm 12 years old. I had my
Yeah.
13th birthday out there in Mississippi. And I bring this up because to your question is I'm now being exposed to an older crowd, alcohol, marijuana. I don't think there was a lot of cocaine or meth at that time that I can recall. And then fast forward, I'm causing havoc there. I'm so depressed that inevitably I come back to California to live with my mom again. I had taken time in separation. We try to make it work, my mother and I fall right back into the same crowd out here, but now there's harder drugs. So I'm out here a couple of more years, and then I go back to Mississippi. And so I'm doing this back and forth, 2 years here, a year there, 2 years here, all the way up through maybe 22, from 13 to 22. This was my life back and forth. I'm sick of here, I go there. I'm sick of there, I come here and whatnot. But I do remember it was probably about 18 or 19 years old is I met a gang member, right? Whether I knew at the time or not, it just what it was. And then I asked him, "Do you have any cocaine?" And then it became, "Well, do you have any meth?" Oh, if you got good cocaine, you got to have good meth.
Yeah.
And then I just became a sucker for that. And I wasn't eating, I was working, but just to work to get a paycheck to be able to get more drugs.
Yeah.
And I don't remember who introduced me to smoking or IV use. Probably somebody you just meet along
It's
the
just there. And you're like,
yeah,
okay.
the lifestyle.
Yeah.
It happens. And now I'm smoking meth, I'm shooting meth, and I'm drinking, and I'm probably 80, 90 pounds. This was at 18 or 19.
Yeah. So you're doing IV at that age.
Yeah.
At that point. So yeah. So 19 years old. You're shooting up meth. You're drinking. Oh man, chaos.
Yeah. Yeah, it was intense. I just remember a lot of intensity during that time, not a lot of sleep. And then I remember again, I was on my way to Mississippi. I remember flushing the drugs, saying, "Okay, I'm done. This is going to be going there."
So at this point, yeah, did you ever have like dialogue with yourself? Like, man, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, I need to stop this. Like, I don't want this.
I think I wanted it. I think I felt that's all I deserved. Because one of the things, having been in and out of recovery for so long, I've come to realize the thing that really separated me from wanting different was I didn't feel as if I deserved it. I felt as if the only thing I deserved, right? Abusive alcoholic mother, cutting myself as a young child.
Yeah.
The only thing I really deserved was to live my life as a drug addict. And I felt that I was getting exactly what I deserved. However, the reason I was able to stop going to Mississippi this time, it was for a guy.
Of course, yeah.
and that was what prompted me to want to stop, was for him, and the love story that I had convinced myself that we were going to have in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And off I went.
So there's this guy. You said this guy lived where in
Mississippi.
Mississippi. So this is, you go back to Mississippi with him.
Yes.
And now, or I'm going to change my life for this guy. What does that look like?
Oh, it's messy. It's messy. It's
Yeah.
drama filled. I'm not happy. I think, what I want is marriage and a baby and all these things. And it's not. It's not what I want. And we were staying in the trailer park
There you go.
with other couples. And it was nice. And the people were wonderful there. I have to say that. I was so self-obsessed. It was all about me, what I wanted, what I needed, and I was depressed. And so the way I was treating this relationship with this person that literally went to California to get me was as if he didn't matter because I didn't matter. And so eventually I just pulled the trigger on that and said, "Okay, I'm going to go home." And I just left. And the sad part about that is I told him I was coming back. And so he believed this person that had all the things. It's awful. It's awful, the person that I was, and that I would be someone that would try to convince them, "I love you enough to come back, but I'm not coming back, and I'm not going to call you ever again." What a shady individual. And I left. And that coming back here, I'm depressed, I'm miserable, and now I'm fighting with the inner demons of all of that I just left behind me. And now going back to Mississippi is never an option again because I left the relationship that I was chasing all those years. And I got plugged right back in. There was one person in particular that I always knew I could call because I knew they'd always have the stuff. And so that catapulted me until inevitably early 20s, I met my son's dad. At the time, was just a guy. And once I got pregnant, I stopped for a little while.
How old are you when you got pregnant?
23.
So 23 years old, you get pregnant, and then you said you calmed down for a bit.
Yeah, I completely stopped everything. I was so happy to be pregnant,
Mm.
my little baby, and I'm going to have this baby and everything's going to be great
Right.
again.
It's gonna fix all my problems.
Yeah, convinced
Yeah.
I'm going to have the happily ever after.
Yeah.
And, I really wanted to please my partner at the time. I wanted him to be happy. And I'm so glad, of course, I ended up keeping my son. And yeah, I have my baby.
Mm-hmm.
I have my baby and I'm 24 years old and I am a new mom and I have no idea how to live free. I still have all the issues that I had up until the moment that I had this baby. And to know that my son's father is a crackhead. So he did not stay sober
Mm-hmm.
while I was pregnant. And so I'm battling his demons and his addiction, being accused of jealousy. I'm sorry, his jealousy, being accused of sleeping with other
Of
people.
course.
I'm
Yeah. All
not.
the paranoia is kicking in for him.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And just
uh,
violence and pain. And he actually tried to choke me. I remember I was on the floor. He was trying to kill me.
mm-hmm.
And I remember looking up and just seeing my son's feet dangling on the couch. And I just remember, gosh, Christina, you got to get out of this. And so he let up. And as soon as he did, he went in the back room and I grabbed my baby and I ran downstairs. And the neighbor shooed me in because they were constantly hearing the yelling.
Mm-hmm.
And I went into the apartment, we called the police, and he went off to jail. And we did this dance for a couple of years, right? He'd go to jail, he'd
Mm-hmm.
get out, and I just wanted a family. Somewhere in this, I was able to get a little Section 8 apartment.
At this point, were you getting high and drinking, or were you able to kind of stay
Um,
kind of leveled out during this time?
well, when he was, gosh, about 1 or 2, I'm drinking again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm drinking again. I have this little, like I said, this little Section 8 apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I am cashing in my rent check to go to the liquor store that's right next door.
Mm-hmm.
I'm, oh gosh, such a terrible time. I was literally recycling alcohol bottles just to get enough money for $1.25 to be able to go buy another Michelob.
Mm-hmm.
And the recycling center was 2 blocks away. And I knew if I just got a little bit more liquor in me, I'd get enough gusto to go walk around and ask people for money to get more with my baby.
Mm-hmm.
With my baby. And I didn't even have furniture. I had one little TV because I couldn't provide for him. I mean, I couldn't even keep food in the house. I mean, I didn't deserve him. I didn't deserve that little boy. And I'm fighting for my life, and I'm not fighting for his life, if that makes sense. And so I'm drinking a lot of alcohol. It was just mainly alcohol at this point. And I remember falling down. I always had bruises all over my body, all over my body. And I remember these very sad moments with my son because I never hit him, but I
Mm-hmm.
neglected him. I did not give him the mother that he deserved. And he would observe me. And I remember just waking up and putting Lion King on probably 10 times in a row just to keep him quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't too long after that, baby's dad gets out of jail. He's coming to the house. Almost instantly, we're both getting involved with meth. Oh,
And
oh,
there's more.
what actually
Yeah.
had happened. I decided to hop a fence when I was drunk and I broke my foot, but I didn't go to the hospital. So don't have a wheelchair. So I'm sitting in my son's stroller, scooting myself around the house. And I bring that to what we're saying here, because when he comes out and now meth is involved, now there's violence on top of a broken foot. We end up in the hospital because of my broken foot.
Mm-hmm.
He's screaming and yelling, baby's present in the hospital. They call DCFS. Of course, they call DCFS.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up taking me to jail. He's gone, and they take me to jail because I had a warrant that I didn't even know about, of course. And they take me and my baby to jail, really, is what happened.
Wow.
And we're sitting in the police station, and I just remember the social worker giving me a little bit of heart because whatever story or truth the hospital had told them about my violent son's dad, she just had a little bit of heart, and they let me sober up and they let me go home with my baby that day. But then they asked me to go test. And a week later, I went to go test and I could not test clean. And they inevitably came and took my baby the first time.
Mm.
They took my baby the first time.
So at this point, they take away your son.
Yeah.
And how old is he at this point?
About 3.
Okay. And then how did you navigate that after that?
Because I remember that day so vividly. And I play it over and over again in my head still. It's my trauma too, you know? Because I lied to him. Because all he wanted was friends. He used to say it all the time. Mom, let's go see friends. Little 3-year-old boy, let's go see friends. Because I couldn't leave the house. I was drinking. And I remember when the social worker came, I remember lying to him and saying, baby, just go with her. You'll get friends. And I lied to him. And I remember that day, and I remember my neighbors, because I live in an apartment building, 3 downstairs, 3 upstairs, and everybody knows Cristina falling down drunk, baby, you know, but I live in a neighborhood where it's not too, you know, there's gangster, it's not too
normal
looked
behavior
down
for that
upon,
area.
everyone's just aware of
Yeah.
it. And I just remember my neighbor came and she gave me a big hug. And I just remember saying, if you guys thought I was bad before, I'm going to be so bad now, right? Almost as if it's expected of me.
Right.
And yet it was the opposite. And I remember a girlfriend came over the next day. I was supposed to help her go look for work, and my son's dad came with me. And I remember at this point, I was so mad at him for not getting his life together. And I remember being so mad at him for having these expectations of me when somebody needed to fight for our son. And he was so violent to me. He had this habit of making sure there were no marks on me or stepping on my broken foot, right? Things like that. And I was so over him, but I didn't know how to detach from him. And when I went with my friend to go look for work, he ended up stepping on my foot. It wasn't fully healed, and choking me out on the corner of in Venice Beach, right there in Windward Circle. And somebody saw, and he tried to push me in the middle of the street. And so now there's a bus driver shooing me in to get me in the bus. So I go in the bus. He's now locked out. The police are involved. They find him. He gets arrested. Thank goodness. He needed to go. He needed to go. I needed to change. This little boy needs his parents, and he's in foster care. And so I'm able to get my wits about me at this point. I just kind of snap out of it. Like, what are you going to do, Cristina? The sound of my baby's voice, my 3-year-old baby's voice on the phone, because we were talking on the phone, was really what got me to snap out of it.
What would he say on the phone to you?
Mommy, I love you. Mommy, when am I going to come home? Things like that. And it ripped my heart out. And I can vaguely remember his voice, but those words and knowing that that's an ache like no other and I think a lot of moms that struggle with that in their life, they don't know what to do, and they might go off on tangents of addiction like I thought I was, but it gave me a fight. It gave me a fight greater than my addiction in that moment, and I was able to get my life together for the most part. And it wasn't easy, and it wasn't fun, right? I'm still navigating a part of my operating system in life, and I did the right thing, and I started becoming friends with the foster mom, and she was telling me how she had 2 other foster children, how the other foster moms were not nice to her. I was nice to her because I loved her. I loved her for being a mother that was taking care of my son when I could not. And I remember going for visitation at the DCFS center for a while because they were bringing my son to me. And, I just remember seeing his sweet little face and just wanting him all to myself, and knowing I only got 2 hours with him was heartbreaking. It was really heartbreaking.
Yeah. How was that when you kind of, to run people through that, like, because I'm sure that was hard too when you visit, and then after the 2 hours is up, having to again leave and let your son know, like, hey, I'll be back, or how was that?
It was awful. I mean, the part of it is that I knew I'd put myself in that situation. I mean, it tugged at my
Mm.
heartstrings. Like I can still see I can still visualize the moment where I first saw him run into the DCFS office and so happy to see me. I remember he's wearing these little jeans and a little belt, and I thought to myself, "You're a little man wearing little jeans
Yeah.
and a belt and your little
Yeah.
collared shirt, and he looks so cute." And it was really hard. It was really hard to know I had to let him go and that I didn't deserve him and that I didn't have a life that he could plug into that
Right.
would fulfill him and give him what he deserved. And so that process goes on for a while. I think it was probably 9 months to a year, which is a
It's a
really
long
long
time.
time to be away from
Yeah.
your son at that age.
Yeah. That's a lot of sleepless nights, time in your head to overthink, to all the fear, all the shame
Right.
process.
And to not give up and to believe that you're going to get your baby back at the end of this.
Yeah, what helped you with that? Because your story is a lot of, pain and suffering. Like you said, I don't deserve anything good, right? Toxic
Yeah.
relation, all that. Like, what were you tapping into? What helped you to believe through that 1 year process that you are good enough and you will be able to get your kid back?
Well, there was a woman that we found our way to one another. I had known her for some time, but we connected specifically around this time. And she was someone that had multiple children, and she had fought and got all of her kids back.
Mm.
And really having her be my mentor of
Mm-hmm.
sorts was really the voice that helped me. In fact, I remember her helping me furnish my son's room right when we
Mm-hmm.
knew I was going to get him back. And so I think having somebody that had walked a similar path be close by enough to give me hope in the hopeless moments
Mm.
was the part that really helped me believe when I couldn't believe in myself that it was possible.
Yeah, and I really want to highlight that for the listeners because that is literally what you just said, like what we need. When you're in those moments, you
Yes.
need somebody who's been through it. Because
Yes.
there's a sense of love
Right.
that a person can give you only if they've been through it. And
Right.
you know that you can read about what it's like, but when you've lived, like you said, hey, I'll pick up your call at 1 in. Hey, what do you need? I'm
Right.
gonna furnish your home for you. What do you mean? Like I got you. We're doing this together. You know what I
Totally.
mean? You got this. Like no
Yeah.
matter what. And it's what a
Hmm.
blessing that woman was in your life during that time.
Absolutely. And
Mm-hmm.
thank goodness for her. And I got
Mm-hmm.
my son back. And I got my son back. And as much as I wanted getting him back at that time to be enough because I'd fought so hard for him, let me just tell you, I only had him back for a couple more years before I got addicted again
Mm-hmm.
and lost custody of him again. And so this was kind of the run of all runs of sorts. After 4 years, I was out on this past run before I got sober this time. And I,
Let me ask you on
yeah,
that too, really quick, because you hear that I see that a lot when I was working with clients, and you see it. I'm sure person gets their kid back after all the work, like it's a lot of work, and then it happens again. Like, why do you think that happened for you?
mm-hmm,
So people can have an understanding of like, yeah, even though you get the kid back, like now it's like, okay, well now you have it, now you got to maintain this.
right.
What was happening right there where it happened again?
Yeah, so I remember when I got him back, I just felt, I mean, there were moments, right? I was trying to find routine. I don't even think I had a car, so getting around was on the bus. I did not have the coping skills as a mom, meaning when a child cries, if you have unprocessed trauma, the sound of a child crying can feel tumultuous. It is painful. I mean, it was hard for me. It was very much a trigger for me when he would cry, when he would say no or do what children do, right? Need a bath,
Yeah,
the normal
yeah.
things. I was just so unequipped to raise this child, even with all the love and all the efforts and everything I had done. And I wanted so much to be a good mother to him. And I was so selfish and so self-absorbed. It was really about my thinking, my emotions, my feeling, what I wanted. And it was actually, I met a guy and I was not being honest with him and, was using drugs. And then he started selling drugs. This guy who I live with. And then he now became the drug dealer for both of us. And that was the kickoff because that wasn't the plan. And I say this to people that I work with and I mentor is it's never the plan.
Right.
Usually the brain will tell us just one or just, right? My
Mm-hmm.
minimizing addicted brain will put the word just in front of just go rob a bank,
Yeah.
right? Just go whatever, this grandiose, huge, life-changing, deathly decision that you're about to make. My brain tells me just do it. Just do this thing. It's not the plan. I have nowhere in my brain am I thinking if I'm going to do meth or drink or whatever that I'm going to not stop for 4 years straight until I lose everything again. Nowhere near in my brain. I just wanted to get high, right? And so I make that decision because I just want to get high. And then I do. And I don't stop. I just literally don't stop because one of the reasons I'm drug addicted, I have this drug dealer
Right there.
boyfriend. It's so accessible now. So what was probably stopping me or bringing me to a lower state quicker, I now have this access. And so I'm not joking. There was not a sober day in 4 years. And so a meth-induced brain for all that time,
How was your mental health from doing that much meth that long?
I lost my mind. I mean, I was in active psychosis for a very, very long time. And mind you, I have my son, my sweet little boy. The one thing I can say during that 4-year period is we had access to a lot of criminal activities. So there was a lot of people and toys and fun things like Knott's Berry. We had access. So he was being provided for that. When he was taken away before, it was the pits.
Yeah.
And so this was a different version of that with more accessibility to nicer things and friends with children and whatnot. And I think I was trying to keep it secret for a while because now I have this kid. And so I have to be in public like T-ball, right?
Yeah.
Showing up for T-ball,
Yeah.
high as a kite. All right. And I'm doing all these things. And, I don't remember exactly how it happened or when it happened, but shortly after I started using again, I started huffing computer cleaner.
That's right.
Yeah.
How did that? What made you choose that? Were you?
Well, interesting. The same girl that I started getting high with when I was 12 years old is the same person that I got high with up until this last run. So first and last. Okay. She introduced me to it, just like she introduced me to cocaine, meth, and alcohol, and now computer cleaner.
Oh, I hate computer cleaner.
I hated it until I loved it.
Well, the taste, it's always the taste. I remember just like when you do too much.
Yeah. I was up to 7 cans a day.
Wow.
7 cans a day. And my favorite days, I don't want to say as if I'm wearing this like a badge of honor because it's disgusting that a human person could live this way. My favorite days were when I had a 40 of Mickey's, a large bottle of Bacardi Gold, Sunkist so that I can mix with the Bacardi, a can of computer cleaner, and I used to keep a rig right here and right here full of dope to get ready to slam. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. That was a day, 2 days, and it was a vicious cycle because the anxiety of using meth in that capacity without sleep, proper nourishment, water.
Ooh. Oh yeah, shadow people are coming.
Right. So now I'm drinking to soothe my state because I'm hearing things.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, I'm around a lot of criminals, a lot of thieves, liars, people that were
not good people.
Not good people. And I knew that. So I being that, it just made the paranoia even more intense because I didn't know what was real. I didn't know what wasn't real. And I prided myself because they were doing certain criminal activity that I was too paranoid to do. So somehow I thought I was better than them.
Yeah.
Right. And it was just this chaos where these girls were coming in my life and I thought they were my friend, but really they were just butting up with me to get to the drug dealer criminal boyfriend. And so now he's using these girls as minions in the little pawn of crime. Because I'm not, right? I'm not willing to do the thing that they're all willing to do. And yet I get all these drugs and all of this. And so, I mean, the mental health aspect was I was pretty out of my mind at that point. Again, not sleeping, not eating. And where things took a turn with my precious little boy. And it's so profound to share this because it really was the catalyst for me to want to change, was losing my son this time, like permanent change. Is the school got involved because I was, oh gosh, it's so embarrassing to say in some way. I wasn't picking up my son from school. The school was, okay, so here was my house. Across the street, the liquor store. Right next to the liquor store was a school. That's how close it was. I could not get to my son on time because I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't leave the house. And there was a couple moms that we knew that would pick up my son too and drop him off, but that got, they were pretty done with it at that point too. And I feel so sad that I was that mom to just not. And how must he have felt? How must he have
Mm-hmm.
how,
And where's your
right?
mom at? Like like when you think about the little dialogue between the kids, like where's my mom at?
Right, or thinking that I'm going to show up at any moment
Yeah,
and I'm not
not
there, and him
yeah.
not knowing where I am.
Mm-hmm. How he
And
feels, how he thinks, all that. Yeah.
right, like he doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
right? Similar to my life, like he doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
and he matters. And I'm doing a lot of repair with that now, just showing up for him. And I've done the whole decade of my recovery. But obviously, I still have those wounds, and so does he. And when he and I have talked about it, he always says to me, "Mom, it's as if the bad stuff hasn't happened, right? You're good. We're good, right?" Because I did spend a lot of time trying to unpack what's there for him
Mm-hmm.
to let him know I'm here. We can talk about it. And even I remember I was living in a women and children's home, and mind you, the path to even get to that women and children's home is so wild, and all the things that happened there. And I remember him looking at me and saying, "Mom, it's as if the bad stuff never happened." And he meant it to me, and he meant it.
Because how old is he when you got sober?
This time,
The final time you got sober, yeah.
7,
Okay, still
7.
pretty young.
Yeah, so he was out of my care from roughly 2.5 to 3.5, and then again from 6 to 7.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 years, right? And I get him back, and now, we're learning together what life is and what recovery means. But luckily, I'm in a women and children's home. Luckily, I've learned a lot of what not to do, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
still learning what not to do in recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And there was parts of, new in sobriety was up until about 18 months of my recovery. I was still hitting my head, like physically hitting my head as a way to cope with, similar to the cutting, but it
Yeah.
looked different because when these explosive emotions would enter my body and nervous system, I did not know how to deal.
Right.
And hitting my head felt right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Your hammer
Yeah.
headache
Yeah. Yeah.
analogy.
Uh-huh.
I'm over here physically engaging in that behavior. But I'll tell you this. At 18 months of recovery, I went to the bathroom because it was usually in the bathroom, and I went to hit my head and I stopped. And I remember it was almost as if this aha moment happened. I realized my mom used to drag me to the bathroom to beat me. I realized that I was doing it to myself. I was literally
Mm.
dragging myself to the
Yourself.
bathroom
Yeah.
and I was beating myself up like my mom.
It's
Whoa,
mind blowing. Yeah. Whoa.
whoa.
Yeah. Wow.
And I said, "Whoa, Christina, just stop. Stop this. Stop." And I just remember I felt as if it were a shadow that was lifted off of me, and it was done. And I did not hit myself ever after that. I wanted to, but it just was gone. And I realized that I was not my mom. And Christina did not deserve to be beat or hit every time she didn't get it right. Right. And I didn't get it right a lot. Still learning.
Right.
I just didn't deserve that anymore.
Yeah, and that's so, and again, that's, thank you for sharing that because that's so fascinating. When you go on this journey of recovery in the right way, right, where you're putting yourself in places of healing, sometimes we heal quicker, sometimes it takes slower, but when you have those aha moments of why we do what we do, why we think what we think, it's the beginning of healing, right? Because once you become aware of why you do what you do, then you have a chance to break that cycle. So for you, when you realize that, and just to kind of go back a little bit, like what started the sober journey? Was it AA? Was it church? Was it a spiritual thing? Like what was the beginning of your recovery? What did that look like?
So this time around, it was AA for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd reached a point in my addiction where I no longer had a place to live.
Mm-hmm.
I no longer had anyone to call. I don't even think I had a phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I found my way to the same AA meeting that I went to at 14 years old when I showed up drunk, vodka, mom,
Yeah.
and went to a meeting around that time. Because my mom's sober, mind you, I should add that. My mom is sober. So she had set the path and showed me this meeting hall that I had gone to meetings with her with
Mm-hmm.
as a young girl, that I walked into that same meeting hall now. and I'm going to these AA meetings 3-4 times a day. I think I had my sight. Yeah, I think I was seeing, I was good. And I was just going to meetings 3 times a day and getting donuts for food. I didn't really get a lot of meals during that time. I know a friend let me stay in her daughter's room for like 3 or 4 days. And then another friend let me stay in his van for a couple of days. And then finally, I remember it was a woman, a really amazing woman, and she looked me dead in my eyes. And she said, if you don't make a decision that's going to change your life and do something different, a drug addict on the street is all you're ever going to be. And that's me paraphrasing it. But when she said it, I just remember this feeling coming down my throat, into my chest, in my stomach. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's right. If I don't do something different, drastically different,
Right.
I'm going to be, my biggest fear was being rocking back and forth on the street corner.
That
Like,
person talking to
and
screaming out loud.
I became that person. I became that person. And so when she said that to me, it gave me just enough fight in me to then decide to go into treatment. And I
So
called
okay, so
around.
you did treatment.
Yeah. I called around and I went into a treatment program, and I was there for 90 days. And then I went into a women and children's home for a year. And that was really my path and my gateway, if you will, into a sober foundation. And there was a woman that I met, shout out London Reber. There's a woman that I met when I was 3 days sober at the meeting hall, and she became my sponsor that day, and she's still my sponsor to this day.
Wow.
She was the one that really paved the way for me. I always say she's the first person that ever loved me.
I wanted to say that, like, the beauty of what a sponsor does for people, that is like, it's almost like, yeah, your first experience of that really selfless love, to really be cared for, someone that really follows through, cares about our emotions, wants to listen, wants to help us. It's like, it's such a healing thing to have that, because we're so used to the opposite.
Yeah.
That when someone can show us that, it's like,
Right.
love heals everything.
Yeah, she is the most genuine person. And I remember her not caring I hadn't showered, I smelled, I had no nails, crooked teeth, probably crooked hair because I cut it myself with some scissors. And none of that mattered. And I just remember her having this bright, radiant smile and this captivating energy. And I just leaned in, and I didn't follow all the suggestions right at once. I was still trying to find my way in life. And she started walking me through the steps and walking me through God and becoming a beacon of light and shepherding me and saying, let's go here, let's go there. And she had a great community wrapped around her of women. And so she was encouraging me to wrap my program around the other women in recovery. And I did. So it was women's meetings, some co-ed meetings. I became a secretary of one meeting, and I just plugged all the way into that community. But I was also somebody that, I was very well aware that I had prayed a prayer of my son for so many years prior to getting sober, that even though when I got sober, seemingly I had nothing on the outside, I had everything, because I had that answered prayer, and that prayer was, please God, relieve me from my addiction. And so when I found my way in these rooms this time with nothing, I was feeling pretty happy and pretty faith-filled at that point, because I was alive and I wasn't addicted. All I wanted to do was not be addicted. By this point, remember you asked earlier if I was telling myself and trying to get out of it? Not the first time, but this time, yes, I just wanted to stop and I couldn't. And so I found this freedom in recovery this time. Not all at once, because there were a lot of behaviors and a lot of trauma and a lot of this, but I definitely had a higher power and a God that I was building upon in those early stages, and found gratitude in the small things: a shower, clean clothes, a meal. Somebody that wanted to talk to, somebody that remembered my name, because I had this, when I was out in the streets, I had this big thing, right? Because I don't know if you're anything like me, but you don't know nothing, you don't see nothing, you don't know me.
Right.
I was never here.
Yeah.
That was the giddy up, that was the get down. And I was rolling with some pretty thug life people. And so I didn't want anyone to remember my name. And I was really like, don't remember me, I won't remember you, we're good. And I remember people started to remember my name, and they would welcome me. And it wasn't just in meetings, it was in life, right?
Yeah.
I've started to become a positive member of the community and society and my son's school. And now I'm showing up early. I'm getting to know my son's teachers. And wanting to be part of his life in this enriched, fulfilled way, and loving on him. Because when he got taken away the second time, I want to say this too, that I cried from the depth of my soul, like a soul cry. As many tears as I've cried in my life, the pain that I cried from this time, I literally thought I was never going to see my son again. I really did. And so now that I got him back, I'm like overjoyed, and the love that we have between us, and just reminiscing and recapping with him about, because the night that he got taken away from me the second time was a devastating night. I was jumped, and how he got removed from the home was pretty devastating, and I was able to talk to him about that, and just finding all these repairs and different ways to live my life. I started to feel better. Slowly but surely, I started to feel better. And the idea of drinking and using became a distant memory. It wasn't anything I wanted to live. I started to correlate drinking and using to now pain that I didn't want to endure. It wasn't as if, oh, this is hot, don't touch it, I'll touch it anyway. This was hot. Okay, got it.
I'm not going to touch it. Yeah.
I'm not going to touch it. So that's really what had happened and was starting to build for me.
No, I love that. What I'm hearing right is 12 steps, community, women, God. And let me ask you on that too, like, how important was God? I mean, I know God's important all the time, but how important was God, especially during like the first couple years of your recovery?
Sure. And God is so important now. Yeah. I live, breathe faith. I'm a woman of faith. I love my relationship with God above all else. And I believe everything in my life is a direct result of loving my God first, putting God above and in between everything in my life. And you asked the importance of that, right?
Yeah, especially in the beginning, because as you know, right, like in the beginning, again, putting the drugs and the alcohol, that's just step one. Now you got to walk through life, and especially in the beginning, right? I don't know what to do with my emotions. I don't know how to work a job. I don't know how to read. There's all this stuff I don't know how to do. So for you, like, how pivotal for people? So some of the listeners might be newly sober. Like, how pivotal was God for you during those beginning years of your recovery?
Sure. Wow. So I think about the first few times I started speaking out loud to God, and it's such a strong memory. I remember walking into treatment, and they asked me to change out of my clothes. I think I even had like scabies or something, and I'm wearing these clean clothes now, and I just remember like, oh, it was the shower. It was the shower. I had gotten a shower, and I was like, wow, thank you, God. And I remember that feeling washing over me. And right, if you can just think of the ceremony of sorts that I'm having between me and the water and the hot shower and this vessel of light, and saying, thank you, God, and meaning it. And that was so important to me. It was so important that in that moment, that everything that I had been through to even get that shower, that I could recognize that it was a direct result of something greater than me, that I did not die, that I got my sight back, right? I didn't stay blind. All the car crashes, I didn't die. All the ODs, I didn't die. And here I am, homeless with seemingly nothing, in this shower. And I'm thanking God. And that was so important to me. It was so important to me to start to acknowledge that everything that was coming in my life then, even when it was not so pleasant and now, was a direct result of something greater than me. And building that relationship with my higher power by simply saying, thank you, God, for the little things and the big things, and then trusting God. Because believing and trusting God are very different.
Yeah. Explain that.
Yes, absolutely. So believing in God, I can believe that I can believe that my higher power exists and that God is real and God is great. Okay, I believe in that. But when I trust God and I trust my higher power, I'm going to take actions that are going to align with that, above and beyond just the belief. Because belief can be, I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to eat my food and, I'm going to go about my day. But when I trust my God, I'm probably going to have a better relationship with what I'm eating. I'm going to have a better relationship with how I act in the world, because I trust that God is going to be walking before me. The other thing I think that's really incredible about trusting God is because you can believe in a higher power, but trusting God is when it's good and not good. The not good part, it's easy to believe and trust God when things are going well for you. I have a lot of practice trusting in God when things are not going good for me. And so that was so important too. I remember the first time I spoke at a meeting on a podium, that was super scary. I brought God with me, right? When I was going to court trying to get my son back, In April 18th, 2015 is when I got him back this final time. And I remember walking into that courtroom not knowing what the judge was going to say. That was scary, but I trusted God.
Mm.
I trusted God that no matter what happened, that we were going to be okay. And I have some stuff going on in my life right now with my fiance that is a pretty radical situation that we do not know what the outcome is going to be. And we walk in faith, and we proudly walk in faith. We boast how much faith we have. We prayed in front of the courtroom and then again in front of the lawyer. We are very outspoken with where we want God to be in our life, and we take actions because we don't fret as if the bad thing that's going to happen is going to be the worst thing or a permanent thing. We trust that whatever is going to happen is going to be what God wants, and we're going to bring love into it. We're going to bring all the attributes of my relationship with God. I'm going to bring that in any situation, and that's how I trust God. Right? If we don't know if it's a prison term, a death, a breakup, a loss, my mom's health, I do not know what is going to happen with these things. But if I'm trusting my higher power, I'm going to treat these situations with so much more love than just generically believing in a higher power. I got to trust my God. Did that, I
No,
hope
that's
that.
powerful. No,
Okay.
no, trust me, it was good. So I'm
Trying to
listening.
really get it
No,
out.
you did, because I mean that is the difference, right? We can all believe. That's easy. Believe is just a thought. I believe. Okay, now can you trust?
Right.
Because action follows trust. And I love that you said, right, it's easy to be like, man, God is so good. I trust him. Well, yeah, your life is great. What happens when things don't go your way? What happens when you go through a hard season? Because a lot of times that's happening for us, but it's really hard to have faith, especially when it doesn't work out in your timely manner. What's going on, God? It's not working. It's not working. And so, yeah, I think it's so important to have radical faith at all times, because life is hard. Things happen. And, we don't want to make the wrong decision based on a moment that is not the final decision. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's perfect. Trust and belief are so different, and I love that, because a lot of people believe in God, but a lot of people's actions don't show that you trust in God.
And I see it too. I see it in my friendships. I see it in the community. I talk to people about this because I hear often people go on and on and on about their belief in a higher power. But then when it's just between you and that thing, there's no God there, right? There's no trust in your higher power there. And inevitably you maybe relapse,
Yeah.
or you don't show up with love and kindness to different relationships in your life. And that's not to say, I mean, we all fall into some shadow, maybe doomsday, depression, right? We're human beings. We have all these beautiful emotions that God gave us, but that's another thing, right? When I started to understand my relationship with my creator has taught me that if I trust my God and I love my God and my God is everything, then I'm going to respect and love all parts of me. That's the relationship that I have with my life now. And I love all the thoughts that I think. I love all of the emotions that I have, and I don't fear them or try to remove them or get stuck in them. That's the other thing is emotions can feel like quicksand sometimes. And so part of having a strong belief in my higher power helps me get through those emotions differently now, because not that I'm always trying to change them. It's just I value them. I value all the emotions in a different way. So that's another way that God then helped me, but building on that, how God helps me now.
No, I love that. And another thing I want to talk on too as well is, because now that you have 10.5 years sober, you're saying your mom's sober. What does that look like for you to forgive your mom and let that go? Because a lot of times you'll hear people like, especially when they get sober. So it's like the kid gets the unsober version, and then maybe some people might get the sober version, right? So there's two sides. Oh, they're so good. They're so awesome. So yeah, but they weren't always like that.
Yeah.
So when you're getting sober, and obviously we do a 4-step, what did that look like for you to be able to let go of that resentment towards your mom?
Well, I think the big part of this is realizing that the same mom that did all those things to me and hurt me, A, she doesn't remember half of them because she was blacked out. And B, I became that mom. And I know when I look at my son, I love him so much that I wish I never, ever hurt him. I believe that my mom never wanted to hurt me. And I'll tell you that it's not as if the forgiveness came because my mom remembered everything and hashed it out and said this, and this happened. And I mean, obviously, as two sober women and I'm her part-time caregiver, we have this beautiful relationship now. We have hashed it out. We've talked about things. There have been occasions where I bring things up and I see it hurts her, so I don't go there. I don't want to hurt her no more than, I'd want my son to hurt me. But the process of forgiveness really came when I understood, A, that I'm human and I fucked up too, really. And I was not the mom that I wanted to be, and neither was she. And I've allowed the parts of her that maybe are still unhealed or she didn't learn, I let that be a teacher to me on how I could be better for my son. And so, I didn't know what to do a lot of the times in that process of forgiveness. But I think another part of that, now that I'm thinking about it, was when I stopped seeing her as my mother, as all she was, I started seeing her for who she was, as her own woman, her own essence. What does she need? How can I show up for her? Does she have food in her fridge? Can I take out her trash? Does her dishes need to be done? When I started showing up to that relationship with more of a service mindset and more of what can I give instead of get, of course the dynamic changed. She started to respect me. She started to care about me. We just started building that bridge in such a wholesome, caring, loving way. And again, I know she would have never hurt me. And when I think too about her childhood and what happened to her, I mean, it's devastating. She didn't have a mother. Her mother literally gave her away, and she was raised by her dad, who treated her horribly her whole life. And she, literally being raised by a man, was taught to be a bully because she didn't know. And she had her dad remarried 7 times, and she had 7 sets of siblings.
Oof.
And 7 different religions. My mom had it bad. And again, once I could detach from my notion of I want, like all these things as a little me thinking my mom needs, I tried to see her as an adult. What have you gone through? What do you need? And I was really able to find forgiveness for her.
Yeah,
over time.
Yeah, and you said the right thing. It's like I think when we have a similar experience, we're able to understand a person, why they do what they do, right? The empathy. Like you said, wow, my mom's childhood. Let's look at the childhood, why they are the way they are.
Yeah.
Okay. Now they treat me the same way they were treated. Oh my gosh, the thing I was so angry at my mom, I did to my kid. I did to my friend. I did to my whoever. I didn't want to do that.
Right.
But that's what happens.
Right.
So then you're able to look at the person right for that, like, wow, I'm sure they felt the same way. And it's true. That's how you forgive. Now, like you said, right? The person may never come up to you and say, I want to apologize for X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Maybe they don't fully change. Not everybody gets sober. Some of them, they don't.
Right.
But it doesn't matter, right? Because it's like forgiveness isn't for them. It's for us to free us from that pain. So like you said, so we don't become that pain.
Right.
Because I always believe what you don't forgive, you become. And like you said, that's what happens. And so we take a stand to break that cycle. Now, the last one before we go to the speed questions, what about with your son? How did you learn to forgive yourself as you were rebuilding this relationship with your son this time around? When you got sober this time and you've had him now, what was that like?
I'm still working on it. One of the hardest things about being sober to this day is that the memories don't go away. I've just built a new relationship with them. And the way that I work on that today is when a thought comes, I just say, I love you over and over again until the thought passes. So I'm going to say that. But that's how I forgive myself today, is I put love into my spirit around that thought. And I've built a life that is wonderful for my son, and he's in college and I take care of him. I just got him a job in treatment.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I just love on him, and I know that I'm not the mother that I was. And I continue to seek new information to bring into my relationship with him. I introduced him in the fitness world at age 8. He was going to the gym with me, and now he's into bodybuilding, and he's doing really well.
Yeah.
It's his
release. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's doing well, right? He's not addicted. He's not, he's doing really well. And so I think the process of forgiveness for me is just simply loving myself enough to change the behaviors that brought me there, and loving my son in a way that matters today, right? Because the way that I tried to love him before, it didn't matter. I was a piece of crap mom. Now I try to love him in a way that matters and is intentional, and I put in effort and I put in time. I made sure his future is on lock. The clothing business that I'm trying to build, it's called 777 Collective Brand. His birthday is 777, so I'm trying to build something that I could pass to him one day, hopefully, right? I'm trying to do and be the person that is going to continue to influence him and be good. And the process of forgiveness, I work on that all the time. I have to.
No, I love that. And I love your honesty with it. I think I always tell people, like, when you're ready to make it right, make sure you understand what that means. Sometimes it's just making it right for one conversation. You never see the person again. But when it's someone that you're going to have in your life, it's like, hey, you got to change everything then. You got to show up. You got to be responsible. You got to keep your word. Those things that you did, you got to stop doing that. And it's not about doing it for a season. This is who you got to become.
Right. And I'll tell you one of the things that I learned as a mom, getting him back this time, because having a teenage son when they're hormonal and life and girls and all these things, he would get so upset and then I would get so upset. And I started to become aware, wait a minute, nothing he will ever do in this lifetime do I want to get so mad at him. I had to really unlearn everything that I thought I knew about parenting. I had to ask myself, wait a minute, does it really matter if his room is clean right now? Wait a minute, he's telling me that not doing homework matters because he needs X, Y, and Z. Wait a minute. I need to show up for him here. And it doesn't matter if the room is clean because being there for him emotionally matters more. And I'm telling you, I had to really learn that because we tend to parent the way we think we're supposed to parent.
Yeah.
Right? Or you have to do chores and you have to do this and da, da, da.
Yeah.
I had to unparent and reparent from a very different place. And he's still not very clean with his room. Fine. And I'm okay with it, right? Because I had to learn that, hey, it matters more to me that I taught him how to navigate his emotions. More so because that's the thing, right? Not having an emotional vocabulary or an emotional compass in order to navigate the way we are in the world. And we get trapped by our thinking and our feelings, and then we're spewing, right?
Yeah.
We're like pinball all over our lives.
Yeah.
And so I had to really learn that. I had to learn teaching him about emotions was really important. And we're both still learning that. We're both very, very much still learning that.
No, that's beautiful. No, yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think it's when you grow up with not being shown properly how to parent, you're not going to probably know how to parent. And sometimes we think, well, I know what not to do, so I'm going to do this. But even sometimes it's like, oh, you got to kind of figure it out, right? It's a relationship. What really matters, and sometimes you're not the person to teach that thing.
Right.
Sometimes somebody else is going to be that person. Like,
I'd outsource.
Yeah, I mean, even right now, it was my wife. She'll tell me something. I go, whatever. And then my friend tells me, I go, dude, guess what? She goes, I told you that. I go, really? Huh. And I learned that sometimes you're not the person to teach it. Allow someone else to. Because sometimes we're more open to listening to from somebody else. And so everyone's working as a team and a unit to help us. So I love that. So yeah, Cristina, like I said, I'm going to bring you on for sure for another episode because there's so much more to talk about. Yeah. But for this one, we're going to end it with the speed questions.
Okay.
And I ask everybody these questions.
Okay.
What are 3 books that you would recommend to someone that could completely change their life?
Oh, wow. That's great. I would probably say Dr. Joe Dispenza, The Placebo.
Ooh, I love Joe Dispenza.
Yeah, that's a really good one. There's another one by The Healthy Adult. What is it? The Healthy Adult Model by Lori Jean Glass. And then
what's that one about?
That one's about learning about the different parts of self. So there's your inner child, your teen, your adult, and then your healthy adult. So she walks you through there's so many things with that. I actually did her workshop not that long ago, and she has a book, and it's on audio. He's actually reading. My fiance is reading it right now. Cool. So that's a really good book. And then there's one other one that's called the Compassionate Journey, or it's basically about going within. I just don't know the name of the author right now, but those are the 3 books.
I love that.
Yeah.
What was one single mindset shift that completely changed your life?
Probably realizing that I do matter. That I do matter. My core belief was always I don't matter. I didn't show up to places. I didn't want people to know my name. I didn't want to be seen, but yet it did. Realizing that I matter, that my presence matters. I don't need to bring a bouquet of flowers and a shiny gift to be seen, or
Right.
that I matter, my presence
Yeah.
matters, and that I'm worthy of love.
That's so powerful. This is a funny one. What is the worst piece of advice someone's ever given you?
Oh, wow. Probably go slide that credit card.
Oh, yeah. That's a good
Yeah.
one, though.
No, I'm not, actually. I mean, that was probably the worst advice somebody ever gave me.
Oh, gosh. Credit card, that's no joke.
Yep.
I remember when I first got sober, I got lucky in a sense where I never had a credit card until I got sober.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was like, wait, I can get a credit card?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yeah. I was like, how does that work? And I remember I got one from Capital One first.
Ah.
And I was like, oh, cool. And then Apple hit me up. The iPhone texted me, you can get an Apple credit card. I'm like, what do I do? Put in your name. And I was like, whoa. And then Discover hit me up. Just, got a Discover card. Then Credit One. And then another Capital One. And then I had 20 credit cards. And then I realized that if you pay the minimum, it doesn't actually work because there's interest.
Beyond, right? You'll never pay those credit cards off. Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I've been paying for 5 years. I'm sure it's all done. I look, wait, what? And they're like, dude, there's interest. I go, what is that?
Right.
Don't swipe that credit card.
Don't swipe that credit card. Yeah.
So then my next question for you too is for the addict that's still suffering, if you had 1 minute with them and they're feeling hopeless, they don't feel like they're worthy, they feel like this is all they deserve, what would you want to tell her?
Well, I would want to tell her above all else that she does matter, that her presence on this planet has value. And I would want to tell her that she does not need to drink or use no matter what, and that there is a way out, and that there is a solution, and that it is possible to live life and to feel your feelings and think your thoughts without having to give into addiction. And I think I would want her to know that there is possibility, meaning that what you think is not possible right now is possible. And let me tell you how, through my own experience. And I would probably want them to know that I've got them. Got you. Yeah, I've got you. Roll with me. I got you.
That's right.
You need a meal? I got you. You need clothes? I got you. You need a meeting? I got you. You need friends? I got you. Yeah. And I would want to celebrate them in probably ways they didn't even know. Right? Like just, hey, you woke up today? Yeah.
Right.
You went, woo! 1 day. Yes.
Let's go.
5 minutes. Woo! Let's dance.
Yeah.
Right? And I'd want, that would probably be something I would do. Let's dance. Let's move our bodies. Let's smile on purpose. Right? I'm told that I'm such a positive person, and maybe I am, if you want to call it that. I'm just aligned with God. And to me, that's usually of joy or of love or something in that element or that energy. And so with that, I would want to pass that on. I want to pass on the joy and the love and the positivity, and also help them realize what they're capable of through my words, through just meeting them where they're at, and just being their buddy. Let's be buds. Let's hang out. Let me show you what I did. Let me introduce you to some really rad people. Let's talk. Let's make jackets together.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, I love that. Yeah, I just want to highlight you are I know a lot of people, and you're one of the only people out of a small group of people that I know that I feel is truly genuine to the core. Like, there is no ulterior motive. There is no, well, you better do this. There's just no, to your core, I want everybody to win, right? I want everyone, because that's enough for me to win. Yes. I feel that with you.
So can I tell you something super cute?
Yeah.
So Joshua, my fiance, our first date, he said that to me.
No way.
He said that to me.
That's amazing.
He said, we were walking away from eating dinner, and he looked at me. He said, wow, I don't see how anyone could fail around you. You only want people to win. And I looked at him and I thought, whoa. First of all, it was the first time I'd ever had anyone say that to me. I realized how true it was. And you're seeing it too, because it's the truth. Yeah. It's the truth. Yeah. To go from, I mean, in my own journey, but so much of what I've seen, my mom's journey, my son, the suffering and despair of a hopeless alcoholic, right? We didn't even get into all of it, but the places I've been, the people I've seen, I mean, and here I stand. I want everybody to win because I know it's possible.
Yeah.
I know it's possible to go from this to that, from darkness to light, from sadness to happiness, from pain to joy. I know it's true. And I want to be a
100%.
beacon, and I want to help people. I really want to help people. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to come on here today, is I want any words that I can speak, any impact that I can make, to just help someone know that they can get through it, whatever it is. And if you're happy, let's be happy together. If you're not happy, let's be that together. And I got you, you know? And I mean it.
You
I
do.
mean it.
Yeah, you're real. And
Yeah.
you're real. And so, and because you're genuine and real, where can people reach out to you at? What are your social media links?
Oh, thanks so much. So my social media link on Instagram is pixie_dust777, of course. And or I'm Cristina Meadows on Facebook.
Oh, I love that. Well, yeah, Christina, I just want to say thank you so much for being here
Oh,
today.
and no H in Cristina, by the way.
No, oh yeah. Cristina.
Yes.
Yes. I know I spelled your name the first time wrong.
You got it right, though.
Yeah, I saw on Facebook. That's why I went, oh, it's this way. Okay, got it. Just making sure. But yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for coming out here. You came from like the deep LA guys, and LA to Orange County during the day, let's just say, is not an easy drive. It's a mission.
I was happy to.
So thank you for being here. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for sharing your story. And we're excited to bring you on for the next one.
Aw, thank you.